Vijigakanawiya, and welcome to week 17. We will be looking at the obviative, fourth person. Our resources this week will be from Genugijik, Jim Clark Nawigizis, Minoa Rikrashik Guayakogabo. As always, using the Ojibwe People's Dictionary. I'm Gijigukwe, Madeline Troyer, Special Projects Coordinator with the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe. What is the obviative or fourth person? There are 3 third persons, says Jim Clark and Rick Greshik in Anishinaabe Wakinga Dayaman. Newabama inini, I see the man, third person. Owabaman inini one. So now we're looking at fourth person. I have a visual in the next slide. Basically, obviative is if we're looking at the central person element in the narration or story, it's going to be that whoever is the most significant person in the story, the main character, think third person, main character energy, fourth person, somebody on the sideline of the main character is going to be the fourth person. And if there's another side character beyond the fourth person, that's going to be fifth person, or sometimes known as our indefinite actor. Owabaman ininiwan ogozisini. He sees the man's son. Nimazina igan miskwa. My book is read. Omazana igan miskwane, his book is read. Nemazana iganan miskwawan, my books are read. Omazana iganan miskwanewan, his book is read. Ojibwe is very specific. Let's look at the diagram. We have in the first example, Newabama inini, I see the man. So that's first person to third person. We're both the main characters in this sentence. So if we're looking at third to fourth, Owabaman ininiwan, he sees the man, he sees him. We do distinguish that in English. We just don't talk about it as the obviative or fourth person. In the fourth to the fifth ring, again, this is about importance of the character in the story. Who's most relevant? Owabaman ininiwan ogozisine, he sees the man's son. This is from Genugijik, and it says noun obviatives. In general, plural markers, whether it's plural or not, will be distinguished with an N. If we're changing oog, eeg, wug to obviative, we're just going to change that G to an N, if that's helpful. So it'll look like a G at the end and I-N-N, I-I-N at the end, O-O-N at the end. Sometimes yun, depending on how the word ends. So bene shi yug is the plural, bene shi yun is how that would conjugate there. And what they're saying about one in parentheses is that it's optional to add in the fourth person. Mitigunine one. Nusine one. We mitiguji. We mitiguji winini. We mitiguji winini one. Some verbs conjugate irregularly. I think I mentioned in a video previously, but Ogin, his mother. Ogini, to have a mother. Ogini one, his mother as a fifth person. It says proper nouns can obviate. Let's look at our VAIs specifically, and that is verb animate intransitive, so just looking at a singular person, whomever that may be. And within our linguistic systems, we're always thinking about, we have to know all of these different conjugations and how they conjugate in the independent positive and negative and in the conjunct positive and negative. And there are even some very specific ways to conjugate in the changed conjunct. So if we're looking at the fourth person, it genuinely conjugates to one. It's saying that the indefinite actor, fifth person, conjugates to an M at the end. X is synonymous with fifth person from what I've understood in my research. We have fourth person, fifth person, plural, and singular on the left side. And then looking at the right side is how we conjugate in the conjunct, depending on if our verb ends in a vowel, M or N. The same chart here on the right side, including third person, so not to be confused. The asterisks in here are relative to what I have in that box there. One, un, im, C1, seem, Z1, zeem. It just depends on what the word ends with, if we're going to conjugate with an S or a Z. Nid, nijin, ing, sinig, zinig, sing, zing. Looking at VTI specifically, 420S or P is 0 is an inanimate object. Our normal persons, 0 is inanimate. VTI is verb transitive inanimate, so it's somebody doing something to something. Whether it is plural or not, it's going to conjugate the same. And again, we're looking at how our verb ends, depending on how we're going to conjugate if we drop the N off the root word, or if we're using Z or S, or adding an I, or omitting an I. O inni, fourth person, to an inanimate object or objects. O sinini, nid, cynic, seem or zeem, ing, ng, sing or zing. Obviative, looking at VII specifically. And again, what this chart is telling us is that depending on if it ends in a vowel or N or D, we're going to use one, ni, one, un, inni one. For the negative, depending on what the word ends with, we're going to conjugate with an S or a Z. Nig, nig, inig, depends on if it's a K, if there's a D. So there are specific conjugations for singular and plural. Fourth person, obviative, singular and plural compared to inanimate objects. I made a chart that I thought was helpful for my learning, hopefully for yours too, and it has all of the obviatives having to do with people in one spot. Looking at our list here, it's VAI, fourth person, singular and plural. And then we have X, or fifth person, or indefinite actor. The 4-to-4 is our reflexive verb type, and same with the X to X, but that's fourth person reflexive and fifth person reflexive. Then we have our long list of how to conjugate VTAs with our obviative person as well. In the positive, negative, very specifically in this one, we're looking in the middle of the chart here, we're looking at imperative, prohibitive, and delayed command forms. Mi gwech na dawabundameg janandigakendameg na Ojibwemowin. Thank you for tuning in to week 17, obviative, looking at fourth person. We were looking mostly at resources from Gijik and Jim Clark and Rick Greshik and the Ojibwe People's Dictionary. I'm Gijik, Madeline Schroyer, Special Projects Coordinator with the Minnesota Chippewa Tribe. Mi gwech. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share our channel. It helps out a lot to get the word out there.